Greetings, people of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever other social media platform you're watching this on. Jason Boredom coming at you again from my bedroom here in Gadsden, Alabama for the third installment of my COVID-19 pandemic lockdown boredom videos. If you haven't seen the first two installments, please be sure to check them out. Now, first of all, I want to start by giving a quick shout out to the two people in my family who have recently had birthdays. My niece Kirsten Holderfield, who just turned 21 yesterday, and my little brother Nate Bodine, who just turned 34 years old today. Happy birthday, Kirsten, and happy birthday, Nate. Now, before I get into what I want to talk about in this video, let's talk a little bit about what I'm not going to be talking about anymore. Namely, politics. Now, recently, I asked for ideas for my next video topic on Facebook, and one person suggested a political topic and thought I would be hilarious at it. And thank you for the vote of confidence, but I'm going to have to decline. Now, you all know, if you've looked at my channel, there is a political video there called A Journey into Madness, so you know that I am not afraid to post a political video, but I am not going to be posting anymore, and here's why. There are two reasons. First, these videos are meant to be fun and entertaining and family friendly, and I have learned that whenever you make a political post, be it a video on YouTube or a Facebook post or a tweet on Twitter, it always leads to an argument. I'm not going to change my position, you're not going to change your position, and we're just going to end up arguing in circles, and that's no fun for anybody. I don't enjoy it, and you don't either, so I'm not going to do that. Second of all, is that I refuse, absolutely refuse, to contribute any more to this little game that we've been playing here in this country, where now that we've made a celebrity into a politician, we are making politicians into celebrities. Yeah. There was a time when we didn't know who Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Stacey Abrams and Adam Schiff and Paul Ryan and whoever else have you were, and we didn't care who they were. Now they are household names. Okay? It's disgusting. We see videos of them on Facebook. We hear them constantly quoted. There are memes featuring them. Enough is enough. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not contributing to it. So, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about something that's actually fun and interesting to talk about. In the first two videos of this series, I introduced you all to some of my hobbies that I've been using to pass the time during this lockdown. I showed y'all my woodworking, I showed y'all my garden, and I showed you all my aquariums. In this video, I'm going to do a little something different. I'm going to talk about another thing that interests me, that has been interesting me for a long time, and some of you may be skeptical about it, and it may creep some of y'all out, and you may find it a little weird, but it is something that I've been interested in for a long time, and that is the paranormal. Now, whether it's UFOs or Bigfoot and other cryptids, or ghosts and spirits, which is what this video is about, I've been interested in it for a long time, and I thought I would talk to you a little bit about what goes into a paranormal investigation and what some of my experiences with the paranormal have been, and show you some of the evidence that I've gathered. in my time. And going on a paranormal investigation is something that I highly recommend, especially if you are a skeptic. Nothing changes a mind going into a haunted house, quicker than going into a haunted house. Let me tell you. Okay. Now, when you go on an investigation, I would recommend that you go with an experienced group of investigators that takes people with them. And in my case, mine and Nate's first paranormal investigation was with this group called Spirit, who operates, I believe, out of Fort Payne. And that was an interesting investigation. I'll be telling you a little bit about that. But okay, let me tell you a little bit about what to expect when you go. Now, different groups take different approaches and use different things, but most likely you're not going to be going with somebody who's going to be doing seances and using Ouija boards and things like that. Some people do. I recommend against it. Not a good idea. Instead, you're most likely going to be going with a group who uses various pieces of scientific equipment trying to capture evidence of the paranormal and communicate with the spirits. Now, usually, depending on the group you're going in, they'll open it with an opening prayer for protection, and will inform any spirits in the place that they are not allowed to follow them home. Now, once you get inside, you're going to be seeing all kinds of things. People will be using digital recorders and cell phones and infrared cameras and things like this. This is a K2 meter. This is a device that is used by electricians to pick up electromagnetic energy in the walls. In the case of a paranormal investigation, it's believed that spirits use electromagnetic energy to manifest and to communicate. So when one passes in front of one of these things, it makes the lights light up, and you can communicate with them by asking them questions and having them light up the device. And the digital recorders and things like that, the digital recorders will be used to capture EVPs. That's electronic voice phenomenon. And what happens there is when you are talking to a spirit, and it'll just seem like you're talking to yourself at the time. You won't hear anything. But when you go back, a lot of the times you will hear voices on the tape that you, or whatever recording that you're using, recording device you're using, that you did not hear at the time. Now, another device that you will probably be seeing used is one of these. Now, I'm not going to turn this on because, first of all, the batteries are dead, and second of all, even though they weren't dead, this thing is very, very loud. This is an SB7 Spirit Box and its little speaker. What this is a modified AM/FM radio, and what it does is it scans through the radio frequencies very, very fast and creates white noise and a jumble of electromagnetic frequencies that the spirits can use to communicate. Okay. Now, when you go, you might get lucky your first time. We did. It may take several times for you to get any kind of activity. You have to remember that these are spirits. These are intelligent entities. And these are not trained SEALs at SeaWorld. They are not going to perform on command. They come out and interact when they are ready to come out and interact. So, anyway, highly recommend it. Now, like I said, I've been interested in the paranormal for quite some time now, but my first real up close and personal experience with it was when I lived in Southside Alabama in a single wide trailer several years back, and the trailer turned out to be haunted by this smart ass of a little old lady ghost that called Rose. I don't know if that was her real name, but she liked being called that, so that's what I called her. Now, Rose was an interesting case. She would only talk to either myself or to the other person that I alluded to in the first video in this series that I've been trying to reconnect with. And she would communicate through the clock radio in my bedroom. Now, and where I was living at the time, it was a dead zone as far as any kind of signals. You couldn't get TV unless you had a satellite dish or cable. You couldn't get any radio stations, and you couldn't get a cell phone signal. I had to have a landline when I was living there. Well, what Rose would do is you'd be talking to her, or she just wanted to make herself known randomly, and she would turn on the radio in my bedroom, and it would start playing that old song. It's the first two lines of it. She'd drive you crazy with it playing, "Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, you know that I love you." And that's the only song she would ever play, and it drove you nuts. Okay? Well, my favorite story about this, one night that guy was staying with me overnight, and Rose had been communicating with us through that thing all day. And by the way, Rose also liked to hide things. But anyway, so she'd been communicating with us all day, doing that, answering questions and interacting with us. Well, and there was one point during the day that we needed to go out for a little bit, and we forgot something. We came back in to get it, and as soon as we came in, we were in the living room. From back in the bedroom, we heard "Sugar Pie Honey Bunch." Rose wasn't happy. She wanted us to leave. So we said, "Okay, we're leaving." We left. Okay, a few hours later, we came back, and she was interacting with us again all day. It just picked up right where it left off. Well, after a while of this, we decided we were going to call Nate and get him to come because we wanted him to experience it. Well, guess what? The whole time he was at my house, nothing, zero, zip, zilch, nada, she shut up. Soon as Nate left, however, because at one point he'd been there for a while, he was getting tired, he was ready to go home and go to bed. So he left the house, got in his car, started pulling down out of the driveway and down the road going home. As soon as he was gone, as soon as the car it was too late to stop and say, "Hey Nate, come here. Sugar Pie Honey Bunch, you know that I love you." Yeah. And I looked at the clock radio's direction and I said, "Smart ass." Well, this person and I that was staying with me that night, we both thought we were nuts, and till the next day we told my neighbor at the time, shout out to you, Jesse Woodside, about it, and we found out from him that we weren't crazy because people who, I don't know if she did the clock radio thing, but the people who had lived in that trailer before me had reported similar incidents, so he already knew the place was haunted. Okay, that was my first experience with it. Now, there was an experience that when we went on that first paranormal investigation with Spirit, and I will either post a link to the video in the comments, or else put one of those little card things up so you can click on it, where we went to this place that they called the Jekyll and Hyde house, because sometimes it was active, sometimes it wasn't. And on the night Nate and I went with Spirit to this place, it was active, and I got hassled by this spirit that was haunting the place that called himself Robert. And in this video called Paranormal Taxi Cab Confessions, they're interviewing us, and about our experiences in the house, and this was my segment of it. And you will hear, when I start talking about it, a voice, just somebody's voice say, "Robert!" Okay. Now, I have also had some experiences here in the house that I'm now going to share with you and show you some of the evidence of. The previous two stories that I told you were humorous anecdotes from hauntings of playful spirits in a previously haunted location. I don't want to give you the impression that that's how all hauntings are, because they're not. First of all, a place need not previously have been haunted to become haunted. They can become haunted for a variety of reasons. Secondly, not all spirits are playful. Some of them are downright nasty and can do nasty things. They can move physical objects, scratch people, make people sick, cause bad dreams, all kinds of nasty things. And the third thing you need to know is that although all ghosts are spirits, not all spirits are ghosts. Some of them that you will come across have never been human before at all, and some of those can be the nastiest of all. Now, the stories that I'm about to tell you are some experiences that happened right here in my own house, which has never been haunted before, of some of the scary type. And I'm going to show you the evidence that I've caught and walk you through each and every bit of it. Enjoy. 6 years ago, in 2014, a series of unexplainable events that began with my laptop being violently knocked from the dining room table by an unseen hand got me curious enough to get out my paranormal investigation equipment and do an investigation that wound up lasting several weeks. During the course of the investigation, I ended up catching hours of audio evidence with a mountain of photo and video evidence to go along with it. I caught this image of what appears to be a full-body apparition of a robed figure with demonic wings and a three-fingered hand wielding some sort of staff or spear. Among the audio evidence that I caught were the two clips you are about to hear. The first one you will hear I caught on my digital recorder when I asked the entity if it knew what my name is. The second one I caught 3 nights later on my cell phone when I asked the entity to tell me its name. Here is the first clip. As you can tell, this voice, which was not heard at the time, but not until after I listened to the recording later, is clearly saying my name, Jason. Now, here's the second clip. This footage, which appears to be a voice saying either Felilia or Ferreria in response to my question of what the creature's name is, was once again not heard with my own ears, but discovered once I reviewed the footage that I had shot with my cell phone. This mark just above the crook of my left elbow doesn't look like much, but is the result of an attack by another unseen entity in my house a year later. Unlike the first guy, this one was a lot more subtle and didn't leave me any audio evidence and not much more than orbs and a few photographs for visual evidence. Instead, it seemed to prefer scaring my pets and scratching me in my sleep while trying to convince me that I was doing it to myself. Every night for 4 nights straight, I would have a bad dream and wake up with a single scratch on a different part of my body. It almost had me convinced that I was doing it to myself until this one happened while I was wide awake. I was sitting at the table making cigarettes on the rolling machine when suddenly I felt a weird sensation on my arm that felt at once hot and burning and cold and hard, like the weight of a knife crossing my arm. When I looked down at my arm, I saw this mark. I still have the scar from it. Fortunately, I was ultimately able to banish both of those entities. Now, I know that the topic of this video might seem a little strange to some, but by my figuring, if I'm going to be living in haunted houses and having entities come see me, whether I want them to or not, I might as well be prepared. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet and you'd like to see updates on more videos, please click subscribe to subscribe to my channel, and be sure to check out my previous videos. Alright, so see y'all next time.